Is it fair to say that you're talking about B, C class neighborhoods and properties?
Yeah, I find those letters wildly abused, practically to the point of uselessness. There's no official definition for it, and we can all agree on what A class is. And then I feel like it kind of falls apart after that because no turnkey provider anywhere in the world, I have never seen ever anyone label their stuff DNF, right? So we're cramming everything that can be into B and C. And I think what I get stuck on a little bit is that there is so much stuff that other companies label C class that we would not touch with a 10-foot pole. And that's where I wish those were a little bit more defined boxes. The good cash flow is. But for so many people, C class doesn't mean a fully renovated property in absolute tip top condition with no deferred maintenance, where there's a renter with a long term 5, 7 year job history at a stable job and a clean criminal background. You know what I mean? And so that's why if anybody asks me that BC stuff, they're going to get a pretty long paragraph back from me because I don't feel like C covers it. One of the things, particularly in Memphis, I think our volume of well paid labor employees is super, super high. We have neighborhoods, huge amount of neighborhoods that I don't even see existing in other cities. Like I'm from St. Louis, and you go from sketchy, frankly, right, like to middle class, and there it is the thinnest layer of neighborhoods that are between sketchy, undesirable to sort of middle class, low cash flow. We're the distribution hub for the United States and have been for about 200 years. So FedEx is internationally headquartered in Memphis. We have the busiest cargo airport on planet Earth. The first 12 years that I worked for Mid-South, we were second to Hong Kong. So I was used to telling people we have the second busiest cargo airport in the world. Well, COVID pushed us right into number one. So more freight comes through Memphis than anywhere on the globe. If you can lift a 50-pound box, you have a job in Memphis, period, done. We're the third largest confluence of rail in the US. You've got barges going up and down the Mississippi. Highway 40 runs coast to coast. Nike, I mean, I could go on. Nike's largest North American distribution factory is there, the largest on the entire continent. It is the size of 34 football fields. It has 42 miles of conveyor belt within it. It's a big employer. But when I mentioned at the top of the show, 53% of the Memphis population rents, and that being such an unusual, a lot of that is coming from sort of well-paid laborers and having a huge chunk of well-paid laborers. And as an investor, so I invest with the company myself. I buy about one house a year. I have 11 properties total. The stability of it is heartening to me as an investor. If you think about Detroit as a working class city, and then what happened when automobile manufacturing went overseas, you cannot take the job of getting a package from New York to LA and have China do that faster, Mexico do that faster, or Canada do that faster. It's related to our geography. For example, before the Civil War, all cotton grown in the US came through Memphis, and today, all cotton grown in the US comes through Memphis. So you're talking about really stable employment for our renters. And then that is all to say, kind of even back to ABC neighborhoods, Memphis has just these huge bedroom communities that might be 60 or 70% rental. And the lawns are mowed. Kids are riding their bikes down the street. These folks have good, stable jobs. The landlords that own those properties care about them. You see good upkeep, not dilapidated. And I think it's kind of a unique confluence of economic factors that happens here. This just really made it such a great place for investors. We have investors in 17 different countries around the world. I have investors in Japan that I work with through translators, Australia, France, kind of on and on. And it is really because of the way the stars have aligned here to a degree.